Alright gang, welcome back to another exciting episode of Dwight and Sharon's new home in Madeira. This is one of my absolute favorite times when we're building a house. This is where you really start seeing the house come to life. You know, we've got our infrastructure in, we've got our moisture barrier down. This is the concrete pour. This is what I love. So I wanted to bring it to you guys. We got the pump truck out here. What they do is they take the cement mixers over there, they dump their cement into a hopper. I'll show you that in a minute. The pump truck then takes it from there over the long distance to, as you can see, to way to the back, and then they start working their way forward. I'll walk you around to the other side here in just a little bit, and you'll see the pump operator. He's the one that's in charge of that boom, and then you got the concrete guys, of course, the crew. So let's talk about how they're doing things, why they're doing things, things of that nature. Right here in front of us, you got a guy who's got the concrete down. Remember, we talked about those are where the footers are gonna, that's where the footers are down there. All right, and they pour the footers first. They want all of that set around, and then they start pouring the field. But you see what he's doing with the shovel there? He's making sure that concrete's all the way down. Everything, all the air gaps are out, all of the, it's solid, so because that's where the walls are gonna set, and you wanna make sure that that is completely solid, all right? They pour the footers first in certain areas, and then they start working the field, as it were. The field is out here, all right? And we're gonna talk a little bit about concrete today as well, and different types of concrete. We just had a client ask us about post and pre-tension slabs. He's from a different part of the country, out in the Las Vegas area, or Nevada area. I'm not really sure if it's Las Vegas, but in my old fire department days, I did a lot of construction classes, and I remember talking about that, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about that throughout this pour. Not right this second, but we will get to that, and we're going to discuss different types of slabs and why they use different types of concrete and what that's all about. So let's walk around to the back, and I want to show you guys. They're pouring the edge of the concrete, the footers at this time, and you'll get to see that. The gentleman there in the orange safety jacket, he's the pump truck operator. He's got that controls. It's a wireless control, and he can move that boom and control the flow of concrete as needed. Okay, well, those guys out there, of course, dump the concrete into the hopper, and that gets pumped out. The gentleman there, he's controlling where the boom is, so again, he's filling up the footer. This gentleman here, it's a kind of an ongoing process, and he's filling in the footers. So as you can see, if you look right down in there, with that rebar that we talk about, that 3/4 inch rebar, okay, that helps strengthen the concrete, and then of course they're pouring the concrete in there. All right, and again, it has to be super strong. They'll work it so they get all the air pockets out. It's nice and solid. They'll smooth it over the top, which we'll see on the other side because they've already done some over there. And again, it has to be strong because that's where the walls are going to set, the exterior walls of the home, okay? So I'm going to take a walk over to the other side, and you hear him operating the horn remotely, and that just lets them know that there's concrete coming, okay? That lets those guys back there at the concrete truck also know that if that hopper is getting low, they need to keep that full. So it's just about communication, okay? So let me walk over to the other side, and I'll show you kind of what they've done over there as far as troweling the edge. I think they've already started working on some of that over there. This is probably going to take them 2 to 3 hours to pour this thing and get it right. That's just the pour. Then of course we got all the other little pieces and parts and things that they do throughout the process before we actually have a finished slab here. So I'll go over all that with you guys here shortly, okay? So let me walk to the other side. All right, gang, there's a really good shot of him pouring that concrete down into where the footers are. And you got this gentleman over here. I think he's training. That's the gentleman in the blue. I think he's the senior guy, and he's training that other gentleman to operate that. So that's cool. You know, we always got to teach our peers. I love doing that myself. So that's kind of a cool operation there, and I don't mind them using my house to do it. So that's very cool. Now we also talked about, you know, bearing walls inside of homes. You know, different engineering of different homes, different walls take weight a different way, and you'll see right inside of there's another set of rebar, and that's going to be another piece of footer, and that's because the way the house is engineered, that wall is going to take weight from the truss package, okay? So they got to make sure that that's got a footer in it as well, all right? So I'm going to walk around the house and just let you guys kind of see what he's doing over here, troweling, if you will, getting the top edge of that footer nice and smooth. Now, what type of slab are we pouring? What kind of foundation are we pouring? This is called a slab on grade. And what grade is, it's a slab, of course, we know what a slab is. Grade is just the dirt it's setting on, the height of the dirt. It's dirt it's setting on. It's called slab on grade. Okay? There is multiple types of foundations, which we'll get into just here shortly. Okay? But here's another truck coming in. He's going to start dumping into that hopper. I'm not sure how many loads of concrete we're going to get here, but it's going to be quite a bit. All right, you can see he's making sure all the air's out, the concrete's down all the way. He's pouring that footer now in the center of the house, and they'll just keep working the whole system. Okay, pretty amazing. Back in the old days, they would have to do what they call tailgating. They would have to take those cement mixers and drive all the way around the house, dumping concrete and moving it around. That pump truck makes it so much easier. They can go a long distance with that. They don't have to what they call tailgate. All right. You see that gentleman over there? He's taking that hammer and he's smacking the edge of those form boards. Again, that's to vibrate that concrete down to make sure we fill it all the way up. Okay. So it's just an ongoing process, and they'll work the entire area like that, and then they'll start filling in the field. Again, this is a slab on grade. There's a stem wall. That's where they raise up the foundation with concrete block around the edge, backfill it with dirt, then pour the slab. That's a stem wall. That's if you're in a low-lying area and you want to build up your slab a little bit. We're not doing that here. Okay. This is actually 3,000-pound fibercrete they're using. What is that? All right. Well, 3,000 pound, which means it can take 3,000 pounds per square inch of tension on top of it. Okay. And fibercrete is concrete that's been reinforced with fiberglass mesh. You won't see it, if you will, the little hairs, the little pieces of fiberglass, and that strengthens the concrete as well. All right. So that's one form, of course. Then the stem wall. Okay. We're going to talk about post and pre-tension concrete slabs here in just a moment too. Like I said, we had a client ask about it. So let me give me a second. I'll be back. One of the final touches they do is he's pouring the footer. As you see, he's troweling the top edge. It's going to give it that nice smooth as they work the concrete down. Water rises to the top. He's sitting there patting on it. Water tends to rise a little bit. They can smooth out the top, and they can get that. They'll be going back over all of this. This is kind of their first rough of that, and then they'll go back over it. All right. Now remember, the other day we talked about free pour versus structural pour. We know there's going to be a patio here, and we know there's going to be a porch out front. That'll be poured as well during this operation. And a free pour would be like a driveway or a lead walk up to a house. We're going to have a paver driveway, so we won't have the driveway pour. Okay. The other gentleman's over there starting to do the same thing. Now let's talk about pre and post tension concrete. Again, it was, I think, I want to go back to about 1960 is when it was kind of invented, or just, they've created it. And it was really done to help builders save money and use it. They use it in unstable soil situations or unstable environments. You'll see a lot of it in construction of commercial environments where, man, you're building on slopes, or you're building in areas that are maybe not a super stable area. And what post tension and pre-tension is, basically it's rebar or wire mesh running through the concrete slab. That allows them to actually make the slab stronger over longer distances and be able to use a thinner slab because concrete's expensive. So with that being said, when you're dealing with a big giant commercial building, that could save the contractor and then the buyer, of course, whoever's paying for it, a lot of money. Okay. Now, they started using it in residential construction in areas like the Southwest, Arizona, Nevada, California, so they could use thinner concrete, make a thinner slab because it reinforces the slab. Now, does it prevent concrete from cracking and all this? No, there's only two types of concrete. Concrete that's cracked, and then concrete that will crack, okay? Concrete that hasn't cracked and concrete that will crack. So concrete will always crack. That's why they put expansion joints in it, to control where the cracks happen. Minor cracks in concrete are not an issue at all. So post-tension, pre-tension, basically it's rebar or mesh running through the slab to strengthen the slab so they can use thinner concrete. Again, track builders use that a lot. And another thing they'll do sometimes is they'll use a wire mesh laid on the or set up from the plastic on little stands, basically in the middle of the thickness of the concrete. and that's kind of a post, or excuse me, kind of a pre-tension scenario, so they can get away with use a thinner slab. Here we're doing a 4-inch slab with fibercrete. We're not going to do any of that. Fibercrete is a very strong product, and most of the builders are using 2,500 to 3,000 pound concrete. Here we're using 3,000 pound fibercrete. So there's a couple different scenarios we do here in Florida. Again, but it's either a stem wall or slab on grade. Of course, this is slab on grade, okay? So I wanted to kind of throw that in so let you guys know a little bit about different concrete ways they do things. Okay, so we're going to shut the camera off. I'm going to kind of hang out, let them get into the field of pouring, because again, they're working on the footers right now, so it's going to be a little bit before they get into it. He's banging on that again over there. So we really appreciate you guys. I hope you guys are having a good time watching our stuff, learning about the way, you know, they build a home or why they do things a certain way, so on and so forth. So if you ever have any questions or comments, or we need any more information, or just want to chat about it, just give me a call. You know, we're here for you guys, that's for sure. All right. It's kind of funny because I was just talking to this gentleman. He's learning how to do this, so that's cool. He was talking with the guy, the foreman leading the concrete crew, and about how they want to pour the slab. So it'll be up to him, this gentleman here, to direct where that boom goes, so he can control the hose and start pouring the way they want to pour, and in the direction they want to pour. Okay, so it's all, again, like everything else in this world, it's about communication. You know, we're all on the same team. We're trying to make great things happen, and these guys want to do a good job. So life is okay then, right? You know, somebody asked me the other day about, you know, all that water that sits on the plastic when they're pouring concrete. You know, how does that affect the concrete? Well, it really doesn't, because if you watch this, you'll see. Well, the concrete, when they mix it at the plant, has a certain amount of moisture and water. Anyway, you have Portland, you have rock, you have water, you got additives they put in depending on the cure time they want because of the temperature or humidity and everything. So all that's done at the plant. But if you watch the water when he pours, the water just moves out of the way. I mean, it's just it displaces the water. It's like putting a boat in the water. It displaces water, you know. So the water just flows away and flows out and down beside and so on. So it doesn't hurt anything. Okay. And what he's doing here is he's reinforcing. He's just kicking some dirt in around those form boards so it doesn't spread. Okay, because that concrete weighs a bunch. All right. One more thing. Let me walk around the back side of this gentleman. I don't want to be in his way. Another thing, if you notice what they've done, I don't know if you can see it in my video here. Maybe right here. If you see, I don't know if I can point to it, there's a little piece of rebar sticking up out in that field, about where, just to the left of where he is right now. And with those pieces of rebar, and they're throughout the whole what they call the field here, okay? That is so they can keep an eye on the height of the concrete. Now, like everything else that's liquid, it's going to find its own height, but it really helps them make sure that the foundation doesn't, you know, have these ups and downs and waves and stuff in it, okay? So it's just a guide, basically, is what they are, okay? And you see that water over there moving out of his way. It just forces it out of there, that's all it does. And they're just moving it around, making sure that it's all, you know, kind of where it belongs, and making sure it's even, and so on. So it's actually, you know, it's really a fairly easy concept. It's just really labor intensive. These guys work super hard. Concrete guys and framers. Concrete guys and framers are probably the hardest working ladies and guys, everybody, on a construction site. So my hat's off to them. This is hard work. This is hard work. And let's face it, the foundation, if it's not done right to begin with, the rest of the house is not going to be right. So Mastercraft uses all top-notch individuals. This is what I told Craig. I said nothing but the A-team, and that's all they have anyway, is A-team. Their subs are all right and tight. That boom's way up there. And you can see now how the footer and the slab all become one. Okay. Pretty crazy, right? This is my favorite part of the whole job. I mean, it's nice when the house starts going up, but this has got to be my favorite part of a new construction build. Every time we're building a house with a client from scratch, I always try to get the concrete pour for their web page that we build for each individual client. See that water just pushing out of the way? and it'll go down in the dirt and it'll be gone. That's a great view right there. Look at that. See that water just getting pushed out of the way? Again, it'll just go down in the dirt. Not a big deal. It just displaces it. Here they are all kind of working in one area right now. Again, this gentleman's helping the other gentleman, kind of, you know, giving them pointers and where to bring the hose and just training them. So that's, like I said, I think that's cool. I like that. You can have people learning on my stuff all day long. I'm good with that. Because in the end, it will be right. And you can tell when you're talking to people, and I was just talking to them, you can tell, you know, quality people, and, you know, they care about what they do. And these gentlemen here seem to really care about what they do. So it's all, I love it. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I'm going to take a walk over and show you how they dump the concrete into the hopper back there, okay? All right, you can see what's happening here. We got the concrete truck. He's dumping it right in that hopper over there. All right, and from the hopper, of course, then it goes out through the pump. Pretty simple operation. I mean, nothing super technical about it, you know. Nothing super technical. Pretty exciting stuff, though. Look at that. Look at that. And this gentleman, he's going to rinse out his truck. He's going to clean that chute. They call it the chute. He's going to clean this. Going to clean the drum because you don't want concrete setting in there like that. And then he'll go back and get another load and maybe come back to this job or maybe go to another job or, you know, what have you, okay? There's another phase of the operation. Of course, you can see how smooth the footers are gone. And he's got this long board here, essentially, and they're going to use that to kind of start getting that smooth level there. You'll see him starting to shimmy that board, you know, across the concrete, okay, moving it around. So we'll get into that in a minute. Hey, check this out, guys. As we move dirt around, we tend to find different things. We used to be an inland sea here. Those are seashells. Those are a lot of seashells. Isn't that crazy? So were they moved here when they first filled this land, you know, when Madeira was first put together, or was there actually water here at some point? Because, you know, the intercoastal is not too far that way. So, interesting, right? That's kind of cool. There's little seashells throughout all this dirt. Wow, there's a ton of it. All right, back to our foundation. All right, remember that board that you saw? Okay, that skeet board there, the screed board, and it's just a basic chunk of wood. And they are using that to start getting that. He's moving the concrete around, and they're using that. See what they're doing? They're kind of scraping it smooth. Again, this won't be the last thing. This is just kind of the rough first smooth over, and then they'll use trowels with long handles and stuff. This just kind of gets it, and they let the concrete set a little bit before, because it lets the water rise to the top, and they use that water, and that helps smooth it over. So it gets it the first rough smoothing, if you will, if that makes any sense, okay? And that's just a big chunk of wood. Pretty simple. I've seen them use metal. They have metal ones, fabricated metal ones and all. But that's just a nice straight 2x4, and I saw them eyeballing it before to make sure it was still level and everything, because I guess they, you know, they can get warp or moisture and everything. So there's a good. You can start seeing. It's really kind of cool when the foundation gets poured, because you can really start seeing how big the house is, or how small, or the shape, or the size. So that's why I really love this portion of the project. And you can see what they got going right there. Okay. Very cool. Those are really nice guys. I was just hanging out with the pump operators, and we're just talking about social issues. Here we go, guys. I want to get you a good look at this hopper. It's pretty much empty of concrete. Oh, got a little bit in there right now, but the trucks have left because I got to go get more concrete. But let me show you over here. They're starting to trowel the. You can see it in the sun. Let me walk around here so we're not looking at the sun. He's got that long trowel out there. See? So you see him starting to smooth it over. And it's a process too, because they watch, like I said, about the water rising, coming out. So he's got that long trowel so he doesn't have to walk in. He'll just work it back and forth, Just kind of smooths it out so you can see the difference between where they did the rough board. And by the way, I misspoke. That one is actually a wood skeet board with a metal edge on it. So it's got a little combo thing going on there. That's kind of cool. But see, they just keep working it back and forth. They keep working the water. The water rises. They call it the cream. It rises to the top. And they keep working it. So it's a whole process. And he's over there doing some hand trowel work around the chase, the AC chase. So just keep it. They just keep it going. Pretty cool. Look at that. Nice and smooth. And you can see the difference now. This is kind of cool. See, you got the rough where they did the skeet board over here. Then he's got the trowel where he's starting to work it with the long trowel. So you can see the difference. So it's a process, you know, step by step by step. And at the end, you'll have a nice, smooth foundation. And they'll let this set for a few days and start curing up before we start putting any wood frame on it, because we don't even have the framing package on site yet. And we'll talk about the framing package, basically the wood to build a house, when that gets on site and what that's all about, okay? Hey gang, look who I found.
Hello everyone, I know you hardly ever get to see me.
Try it again. I don't think I heard you.
Oh, okay. Hi everyone.
Come on, make love to the camera. This is Valentine's Day. What do you think,
That's
Sharon?
Right. Better than flowers on Valentine's Day is concrete.
See, and you know, they say, you know, I could have bought roses for $40, okay? But instead I bought 77 yards of concrete. Fellas, beat that.
Beautiful.
And we got to head off to meet with some clients and some other construction projects that we got going for other clients. So I'm going to have to leave and then come back. But for the most part, the foundation's poured. We still got to do the porch, the garage floor, and of course the front porch. So they still got that stuff to do as well, and smoothing it. See, and that's going to be an ongoing process till they get it where they want it. And then they're going to come out, and hopefully I won't miss it, but they'll come out and they actually grind the concrete when it sets for a little bit. Maybe later today or first thing in the morning, they'll grind it and make sure it's good and smooth. They'll cut expansion joints in it, okay? Because there's only two types of concrete that's cracked and concrete that will crack, like we talked about earlier. So they put expansion joints in it to mitigate that and get it to crack where they want it to crack. It kind of weakens it in a few spots so that it will crack there versus out in the middle of the field and all that sort of thing. So that's all part of the process, not a big deal. Minute cracks do not hurt concrete at all, okay? So we'll be back. All right, gang, I came on back. We had to go meet with some folks. Sharon's still meeting with some other folks, but wanted to get back over here to this concrete pour. They've got the back lanai patio screened area done. A couple different things to note here. You notice, of course, the patio is a step lower than the actual finished floor elevation, okay? And you can see it. Maybe I can come over here. I want to show you guys something. They got a little slope to it. I'm not sure if you can actually see it through the filming up, but it's a little higher there than it is here. It's got a little slope for water runoff. That's per code, okay? And you see that little dish out right there. That's where the sliding glass doors are going to set. All right, so they have to accommodate all of that. So they're in the process now of pouring the garage, which we're going to go kind of take a look at. And so I'll be right back. There's a good shot of the concrete being put into the hopper. We didn't really get that earlier. So again, it comes out of the trucks. These are 11-yard trucks. It goes into the hopper, and then of course it pumps out over the line, through the line. And I was talking to Craig, actually earlier, there's going to be approximately 88 yards of concrete in this house. So 8 trucks, maybe 9 trucks of concrete, okay? But when I came over this direction, because to show you guys, the other day when we were out here, I did not go over a couple of things. Let me watch where I'm walking. It's pretty wet where they just dump water. There's a couple things I'm going to show you guys real quick. All right, we know we're pouring concrete. We know about footers. We know about all that stuff. Now, what is this white pipe sticking right up here in front of me? Okay, that's actually the plumbing clean out. That'll be cut down. That is part of the drain line of the house. All those drain lines that we talk about in the house itself, that everything will pass through that underneath here and out to the sewer, out to the street. but you have to have a way of cleaning out in case there's something gets stuck in the sewer line. You have a way of cleaning it out, you have a way of putting a camera down there, a scope, what have you. That's what that line, this PVC pipe is for. That'll be down in the landscaping, it'll be cut off, you know, even with the ground with a cap on it. So that's a plumbing clean out, okay? Now, over here we got a piece of rebar sticking out. And we talked about rebar all through this build, right? But that piece of rebar right here, that is part of the grounding rod system for the house. You got one here and there's one on the far side of the garage over there. That is all part of the rebar. It's all hooked to the rebar that they have throughout. All of the electrical circuits in the house have to be grounded. They will be grounded to that piece of rebar. The electrical panel gets grounded to that. The receptacles get grounded inside the panel. So eventually everything is grounded to the house. So if you get a lightning strike, lightning nearby, surge of power, what have you, something that is not right and it needs to absorb, if you will, extra electricity in some way, shape, or form, it makes it to the ground rod down into the footer, which is grounding the house, okay? All right, so I wanted to make sure I covered those things with you guys as well. So there's the big field of concrete, and now they're pouring Dwight's favorite part of the whole house, so we'll be going to catch that in just a minute. On our way over to the garage, this is our AC pad. That gets all poured at the same time. This is where the AC compressor is going to set. And what these guys were doing earlier is they put a level on it. Because you want the AC pad level, because when a compressor sits on it, you want to make sure it's level. They function the best when they're level. They're supposed to be, because of oils and the Freon and stuff that are in there, they need to be level. So they put a level across that to make sure the form boards that they have around the outside were level, so when they poured the concrete inside, it was all level, right? So, and they also measured the distance between that side and that side away from the house. So that needs to be square as well, if nothing else for aesthetics, because I know, like myself, I care about those things. Things have to be done right the way, and Mastercraft is doing that, okay? So, all right, guys, next lesson. Okay, they're pouring the concrete in the garage right now, and like we saw on the back porch, there needs to be a slope. Not so much back there. This one, though, is going to have quite the slope. I'm not sure what the code is, but it has to drop from where it touches the house to the outside. It has to slope away from the house for water runoff. So what they've done is they're working, you know, they're doing that pre-screed where they kind of start smoothing, that rough smooth I call it. Okay, they're working that now. But see, down here in the front, they've got, again, form boards set, which they just put up this morning, and they have the height of the front of the garage, the face of the garage, where that's going to be. So they're just going to make that height back there where they start and this height match, and that'll give it the slope. And again, when we're done, you'll be able to see the slope in the garage floor. Okay, so that's kind of what they're doing. They're just making it all work. All right. All right, gang. We got a full garage. We got a front porch over there. Of course, that's going to have pavers on it. They're starting to work the final smooth it. Trimming it all out, as it were. They just allowed Sharon and I to put our handprints in the concrete, so they're going to smooth out around it and just leave that. So that's going to be our handprints right there. Her left and my right on Valentine's Day 2019. Very nice. These guys are artists, concrete artists. So I'll come back here a little bit after they get all that done, and we'll see what the whole thing looks like. Alright, well, looks like we got us a finished foundation. We're doing some final steps now. Just taking that machine, and all that does is kind of, I call it grinding it, but it smooths puts a slick surface on the concrete. So any little deviations they have, any little highs and lows, and they smooth it completely out. So this is what they allowed us to do here a little bit ago. They're going to work around it, but there's two handprints right there. One's the left one is Sharon's, right one's mine. So that's kind of cool. We kind of put our mark on the house. So we're going to take a walk around, let you guys kind of see what the finished concrete looks like for the most part. I mean, like I said, they're grinding it now. So we'll get over there and you guys will get to see that. And then I'll come out later after they're done, or maybe the next day or so, we'll have concrete to walk on. Won't be able to walk on it for a day or so. So you can already see it's starting to dry up, see? And I also learned about slump testing, which we all know, slump testing for concrete is how much they'll take the concrete mix that they have, how much water content, and they'll set a lump of it down and see how it sinks, it sags. It's called a slump test. Well, they slump test it in the back of a truck. They'll put the concrete in the back of the cement mixers, and then it's up to the drivers to add water to it to get the right consistency for the time of the day, the humidity, the air temperature. You know, because too thick a concrete will make these guys work while they're using that hose, or like something fierce, moving that concrete around. Too loose, and you know, it's just worthless concrete. So it's real important that that is set up right. So that's called a slump test. And they, like I say, they do that at the yard when they're filling the trucks. And here we are, we're putting a broom finish on the concrete, because code is any exterior facing that people walk on has to be, like a driveway, things like that, have to have a finish on it, so it's a non-slip type of finish. So it looks kind of rough right now, but once all the debris, everything dries, it'll be a broom finish, but it won't be like really super super evident. Okay, pronounced. It won't be super pronounced. And you don't want an outdoor surface that can get wet to be super slick, because you will fall. Concrete gets really slick. But you can see how well they've smoothed the concrete already with the trowels and all, and letting that cream rise to the top. So now that it's in the process of setting up, they take this machine and they'll go over the entire concrete. There's our pad. Again, they took the level on it, squared it, very nice. So you can see what he's doing there. And it sits down on the blades essentially, and it just kind of sands the top of the concrete. Okay, so when it's all said and done, it'll be a nice smooth surface. All right, and I'm going to go to the other side real quick so you guys can see the slope in that garage floor over there. Okay, so I'll be right back. Actually, instead of the garage, you can see it really good from here because they got the same slope. But if you look at the front, where the front porch is, you see how the concrete's higher at the front door than it is here. Again, it has to have water run. Okay, the garage will have the same thing, so water can run away from the house if necessary. So if something happens in that garage, water goes that way. Rain, it may say, it goes that way, away from the house. Okay, I said even the back porch back there has a slight slope to it as well. Okay, so I think we're in pretty good shape, guys. I think this is going to be awesome. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and they're just tidying up some loose ends here. They're getting the pump truck cleaned up, so that's going back in service. They got to make sure they have all of the concrete out of the tubes, the pipes, the hoses, because you don't want that setting up in there. That'd be a bad day. All right, so questions, comments, give me a thumbs up, hit a subscribe button. We do appreciate you guys. Let us know you're watching, paying attention, and give me a shout if you got any questions, okay? Thanks.